All right, what's up everybody? So I'm here in an Airbnb and I'm actually going to take you on a tour of the unit because it's a pretty sweet unit. And if you can guess which city I'm in, I will give you a Starbucks gift card of an amount that I determined to be reasonable. Also in this video, I'm going to give you some Airbnb pricing tips, how to come up with an estimate for your Airbnb because you really, you want to have about 5 estimates. And I'll tell you exactly why. I'm actually looking at turning a property into a possible Airbnb. And when you start looking at different prices and what you think you can get, you're gonna see like a wide array of prices. I mean, if I were to compare the lowest estimate I got to the highest estimate, there was over $100,000 difference in the prices. So you really have to be sure about your prices. And I'll tell you exactly how to do that. But first, let's check out this view right here. So here's the view of the downtown. I'll take you to the home office as well. So anyways, the first strategy that you want to use, and this will be like the high estimate. So anytime you're coming up with an estimate, you typically like never want to use the high estimate. You also never want to really use the low estimate, usually. Usually you kind of want to be somewhere in the middle. So here's the home office. If I worked in here every single day, I would be so inspired and motivated. Not like I'm not right now, but. Okay, so the first one is a service called Elliot and Me. Now what Elliot and Me does, it's basically like an algorithm set up by some Stanford guy, I think, where it takes into account all the comps, trends, different things like that, and then gives you a number. It's literally just a free service. You just type in your address and it spits out a number. So it's really easy to do. And I found that estimate to be pretty high. And I think if you do Airbnb a lot, I think people would agree with me. So that would be estimate number 1, the high estimate. The next estimate you want to use is a service called AirDNA. And that's actually a paid service. I think it's like 20, I think you have to sign up, it's like $20. But if you're serious about doing Airbnb, $20 should not be that bad. And here's the bedroom. Get a better view of that. You got a patio out there as well. Better. So AirDNA is kind of like Elliot and Me, but I found it just to be, it's going to be a lower estimate, but it's going to be, in my opinion, a more realistic estimate. So you're going to get like exact comps. You're going to see what exact properties have made year to date, which I don't know how they actually were able to do that, but you're going to have just lots of data, lots of information they'll give you. And then they'll actually give you a low estimate, a high estimate, different like scenarios. It's actually just kind of cool as far as all the data that they collected. They did a lot of data mining, which is obviously like a huge thing nowadays, and you can just get some really cool information. So that should be estimate number 2 for you coming up with your price. Now, estimate number 3, you want to find some local Airbnb management companies. So in every city, there's gonna be usually like 5 or 10. There's gonna be several companies that specialize only in Airbnb property management, and they can give you a pretty good estimate. All you have to do is call them. They do this all the time, so it's not like a burden for you to ask them. So just call them, say, look, here's my property. It's in pretty good condition. It's this many bedrooms, bathrooms, and they'll tell you like exactly what they think they can get for it. So that would be estimate number 3. And I found that the third estimate is going to be more in line with the AirDNA versus the Elliot and Me. So it should be right around that price. So you should start to be getting a pretty good idea of how much you can charge for your Airbnb. Now the fourth estimate, there's a lot of national like Airbnb companies, like more of the bigger companies. And those companies might charge a little bit more. They might not be as specialized in your area, but you might as well get an estimate from them as well. And that's just a simple Google search. You can find some of these national companies, and within a day or two, they can give you an estimate. So that would be estimate number 4. And by now you should have like a really good idea of exactly how much you think you could charge for your place. Because if there's estimates that are wildly different, I mean, you want to be conservative with Airbnb, especially because the laws are always changing and things like that going on. So always be conservative with your number. So after talking to 2 different types of property management companies, getting 2 estimates from them, as well as AirDNA, as well as Elliot and Me, the last thing you want to do is just go on Airbnb and see what properties are selling for or renting for. That's probably the most simple way to do it. And that can give you a really good idea of, where you're going to be. And keep in mind the estimates that you're going to get for Airbnb. And I'm actually going to go outside. This patio is really sweet. So let me open up. I don't know if it's pretty loud out here. I don't know if you can hear me. Let's see, let me just do a panorama. So you got water, downtown. You got this cool patio. You get a view of this. And you can see mountains in the background. And I just saw a Spirit Airlines flight go by, so someone probably got a good deal. It's like $50 to fly across the country. They don't give you any drinks or pretzels or anything. Sorry, anyways, got distracted. So you're gonna have 5 estimates. You can put them on a sheet. You can order them in from highest to lowest. And you also wanna think in terms of gross income. So they're not giving you like the net income, they're giving you the gross income. So then you say, okay, well, if I can make $100,000 as a gross income, and I was actually just looking at a property where that was going to be about the gross income, then you have to take into account the management fees. So, and I would always recommend getting a property manager. I mean, maybe when you're first getting started, you can do it yourself, but it's just a high turnover because it's obviously people are just staying for a couple of days. High maintenance. It's a more involved property management job. And I've been a property manager before. And let me just tell you, you should just hire somebody. Just pay 10, 20% to hire somebody. And most Airbnb companies will actually charge you about 20%. So I think that's kind of like the standard rate for Airbnb. 20% of the gross income that you get. So factor that in, and then you come up with your net number, and then obviously you have to take away for mortgage and debt service and things like that. So you get your net price, and then you subtract it from the mortgage, and theoretically that's what your price is going to. That's how much you're going to be able to make. So when you're looking at properties, you need to get the 5 estimates, factor in the 20%, and then subtract for the cost of mortgage. And just a couple last tips. So when you're first getting started, you want to price your Airbnb pretty low. So you don't want to be at like the high end of the spectrum. So the whole strategy with Airbnb is that you price it pretty low, you make it super nice and professional photography, professional cleaning services, professional really good description where you say amazing. Like this one caught my attention because it had amazing. I love views. So actually this place could have been terrible, but as long as it had good views, I was gonna book it. So you need to write a really good property description. Have everything going, but most importantly, if you just price it low enough, people will book it. And then if you just want to start getting good reviews. So that's a good strategy for different things. You just price it super low so you can get really good reviews. And then eventually you consider going back up to market price or even charging a premium price if you want to. The next tip I have is obviously the Airbnb laws are always changing, so you really need to be aware. You need to read as many articles as possible about Airbnb laws in your area as well as other areas. Because in some cities, the laws are super strict. I think in Paris and other cities like that where there's just a ton of tourism. I think in Spain, actually, they've really cracked down on them. So you need to look at the extreme Airbnb laws as well as just the normal standard ones. And depending on what your city is, you can probably get an idea of where the laws are headed or where they might be headed, as well as maybe how to get around them if you want to do that. I don't recommend it, but some people do. And your property manager, one of the reasons why I like getting estimates from property managers too, local as well as national ones, is they'll give you some, not insider information, but they'll have a lot of information that helpful information about your area's laws and what you need to do to make sure you're complying with them and just general tips. So that should also help you just by talking with them. I'm gonna do one last panoramic here. I would give you a hint about the city, but I think you should be able to get it by now. There's mountains, water, I'm in the downtown. You should have enough hints. Okay, so hopefully you can guess the city, and I'm just to recap this video, like I said, you want to get 5 estimates. So the 5 estimates would be LA to me, AirDNA, just going on Airbnb and looking at it, as well as 2 property manager estimates that specialize in Airbnb. So that's going to give you the best general frame of reference for how much you can charge. And then lastly, my 3 tips would be do as much research on the Airbnb laws. So you basically become an expert in the Airbnb laws. And all you really have to do is maybe read an hour's worth of articles, and you can really get a good idea. Next, just keep your prices really low when you're starting out, just so you can get really good reviews. And then if your goal is to turn it into like a premium price option for Airbnb, like a luxury destination, then you can bump your prices up incrementally, but you never want to start with like the highest price. And then lastly, I would recommend getting a property manager. I don't think it's worth your time and hassle to meet people with keys if that's something you have to do. Scheduling people, responding to inquiries at all times of the day and night, fixing things. That's something, there's services that will do this for you. So you should be focusing on more like building your portfolio and higher leverage activities rather than, fixing little things here and there. And I've been a property manager before, so I can tell you from firsthand experience, it's great to have a property manager. Just pay them, pay them 20%, just factor that in. And you won't have the headache factor will be significantly lower. So there you have it. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please like it, please share it. Please guess which city you think it is. So hey, if you guess correctly, I'll email you a Starbucks gift card, and I'll just do one more walkthrough so you can get one last view of the city.